Welcome, everybody, to the Early Edge. I am your counselor of cash. The coach will be back in this chair for the 10 a.m. show tomorrow morning, but I am the captain now. As the captain, we're going to look at how we did yesterday. Let's take a look at the recap screen. 6-2 on Sunday. We see EC here. He got the Sung Jae top 20. This was from last week, of course, when he picked before the Wyndham Championship. He lost 2 out of 3 there, but 6-2 as a brand on the Early Edge yesterday. So I like AB going 3 out of 5 after going 3-0. Proppy hits his pick. I've hit my pick. Sniper hits his pick, and one gets canceled because Glass now got scratched. So let's see if we can do better today. Let's bring in the stars of the show. Let's hit today's marquee matchups. And we're going to start. Actually, we're not even going to start with the marquee matchups yet. I got to announce, because we've got at least 2 out of 3 on here that are going to be football guys. We are Antonio Cromartie, days away from NFL season. Maestro, I got to put you in here. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I am so juiced up. I will be in Vegas this week to make it even more exciting. I'll be coming to you live from Bet Bash with a cameo this week. More to come on that.
Wow. Does anybody have a broom to sweep up all these names that Maestro is dropping? Proppy, what you got?
Can't wait to see Maestro in Vegas. Very exciting prospect. Also got to give a shout out to the great Priest Holmes when we're talking about number 31s in the NFL. So shout out to the great Priest Holmes.
Great shout out there. If you have a favorite 31, type it in the chat. A favorite number 31 in the NFL. There's a lot of them, by the way. I got a list. Let's get to the marquee matchups. Let's check out the dog of the day. We got MLB Underdogs. Believe it or not, the Dodgers an underdog at San Diego at plus 120. We got the Chicago White Sox plus 140 against the Yankees. And then the Washington Nationals at the Phillies. They are plus 175. Maestro, I'm going right back to you. Who do you like here?
I think the Nationals price is pretty attractive given that they've split 6 games with the Phillies. We actually had this same pitching matchup a little over a month ago. The Nationals won that one 5-4. This team, they homered on the first 2 pitches yesterday with CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas. They're 11-5 in their last 16 games. They didn't get rid of everyone at the trade deadline. They kept Finnegan, the closer. They kept a lot of other key pieces. So to me, they're dangerous at the big price.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big price, plus 175. And Buckets, don't worry, we are going to get to you because I think we might have a pick the prop home run prop segment coming up. But Proppy, I'm going to go to you next. Who do you like here as far as the underdogs are concerned?
I'm with the Maestro. I like the Nationals here quite a bit. I actually almost gave out on this very stream their team total over 3.5 runs, which I like quite a bit. The one thing this national team does very well is they hit opposing left-handed pitching almost as well as any team in baseball. Facing Ranger Suarez, who they've had a ton of historical success against. Also, everyone's waiting for this Phillies team to kind of wake up. I would argue this is who they are. They're an underachieving team that's close to a 500 team. So I don't think, despite the high payroll, despite the talent, the Phillies are quite as good as the odds makers are making them. So I think the Nationals are a great play here at plus 175.
And before you go and run out, and I agree, of course, before you run out and bet the Dodgers, that's an afternoon game. Just keep in mind, I'm not sure what the lineup's going to look like for the Dodgers. It might have already been released, or maybe we know somebody that's out of the lineup because that line was plus 100 as of 30 minutes ago, and it looks like it's jumped to plus 120. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres, Gonsolin on the mound for the Dodgers. So again, that might seem like a very appetizing number, but just make sure you know who's in the lineup. Speaking of lineups, other 31s, Justin Simmons, Kevin Byard is very, very random. I absolutely love that play. Any other 31s, put them in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button. We're going to get to pick the prop. But before we do that, let's hear a message from our partners.
We don't get a try run, we only get one life. So enjoy the ride. Just live your life, one day at a time. And enjoy the ride.
Before we get to pick the prop, let's take a look at who we're going to see on CBS Sports HQ today. We got the sniper. He's been on there a ton. At 1 o'clock, we'll see him. At 6 p.m., Mike McClure and our very own Larry Hartstein, the Maestro. And at 8, we got AB and Larry Hartstein again, the Maestro. And then finally, Sniper's going to close us out. He'll be starting and he'll be closing. That's the 8 p.m. hour. The early edge is all over CBS Sports HQ. And what we're all over is the home run props. And I can't believe I'm doing this. When I host, I always tend to default to buckets to lead the segment because somehow, some way, he keeps calling these. So I see Jorge Soler on here at plus 200. Of course, we have Kyle Schwarber at plus 205, Matt Olson at plus 260, Ohtani at plus 340, and Pete Alonso at plus 350. But buckets, I got to think you're not going off the board this time. You're basically Jorge Soler's best friend, as far as I can tell. Who are you taking here?
Yeah, see, I was Jorge Soler's ex-best friend because we have a rule that trumps everything on the pick the prop. We go off the board. You cannot give me Jorge Soler on the board. That's not how this works. So I now have to not only go against my ex-best friend Jorge Soler, but I have to go for somebody playing against his team this afternoon. I'm looking at the Cincinnati Reds. I'm going off the board, and I'm taking Elly De La Cruz to home run at plus 450 here. It's better value, in my opinion, than any of those five guys. And right now, I'm just so upset I can barely, stay focused on the rest of the show. So I'm going to take a second, Sia. But Elly De La Cruz plus 450, that's the move.
Okay, I don't hate the pick. Like Buckets somehow is coming up with the analysis too. Elly De La Cruz, I don't hate it at that number, plus 450. Proppy, I'm going to go to you. Listen, I'll be honest. I thought he was taking Jorge Soler, and I'm a little upset at how upset he is that he didn't get to take Jorge Soler. So I'm going to cheer him up just a little bit. I don't care about the plus 200. Jorge Soler is going yard. I'm taking Jorge Soler. Hopefully you can get that price maybe at plus 220, something a little bit more appetizing than plus 200. But Proppy, where are you going on this?
I want to call it right now. I'm going to go Elly De La Cruz to go yard on his first at-bat, going to yard, excuse me. And I'm currently auditioning for the role of Bucket's best friend since Jorge Soler is currently on the out. So shout out Buckets 2024 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to go Shohei Ohtani, getting a nice price here. I know it's a tough matchup versus Logan Webb. I believe they've never faced each other. I think Ohtani is due for a home run, so I'm going to take Shohei in this spot.
Well, that is very interesting. I didn't know you were going there, but I'll tell you what, I really like it. And that is a little bit of a prelude to the pick I'm going to drop on everybody in just a few minutes. Maestro, can't leave you out of this. Which one of these five guys do you like to go the yard?
Well, Sia, I really love this segment, and I can't wait till our producer, Jake, superimposes Bucket's face right in the middle of all those sluggers.
Yes.
But for today, I'm going to go with Ohtani as well because Logan Webb on the road, 4.75 ERA, 10 homers allowed in only 72 innings. The Angels are crumbling, 0-6 since the trade deadline. They have got to get things going. This is the night I think Ohtani carries them to the win.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. All right. Well, looks like we have some agreement with our picks, which is making me feel a little bit better about my pick, which I'm going to get to right after another message from our partners.
This is the sought-after trophy when we tee it up, the first event of the season that you think about. This is a way to end the year in a way that only one man can.
The world's best golfers battle for the tour's toughest trophy to win, the FedEx Cup. The playoffs begin this weekend on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
We're back here on the early edge. How about another 31, Jason Sehorn? Listen, there's a long list of really popular names from the last decade or two. So I'll drop Jason Sehorn in there. And now it's time for me to drop my pick. And listen, it's music to my ears that both Maestro and Proppy seem to like Ohtani, seem to like the Angels. And it's hard to like the Angels, right? Because they've lost 6 in a row. They haven't won in the month of August. Like, that's just not very good, especially when you were a buyer at the trade deadline. This team is nothing if they are not desperate right now, because technically they still are in the wild card race. So give me the Angels first 5 money line at plus 106. Speaking of 6, we're going for 6 first 5s in a row. It's Sandoval versus Logan Webb. Listen, Logan Webb, he's been very average lately. He's been good on the season, but very average lately, giving up a decent amount of runs. The strikeouts really aren't there. He's certainly pitching to contact. And on the other side of it, Sandoval, while his season has been, very up and down, his June was awful. If you look at what he did in June, it was not good. But July, 22 1/3 innings. He's only allowed 4 earned runs in, again, 22 1/3 innings in July. This guy is picking up. And again, to Larry's point, This team is very desperate right now. I'm not going to just bet against them because they've lost 6 in a row. If they are going to turn things around, it's going to start now, and I think it's going to start with Sandoval. So give me the Angels first 5 money line at plus 106. Proppy, I got to think you're at least somewhat okay with that. But before I get to your pick, Maestro, go ahead.
I just wanted to support your pick by noting over the last 30 days, no team has a worse OPS than the Giants.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And Proppy, I know I'm thinking because of the Ohtani home run call, maybe you like this matchup against Logan Webb, but I know you got a pick as well. So hit us with it.
I do. And quick shout out to former 2,000-yard rusher and number 31, Jamal Lewis, as well, in Baltimore Raven. But yeah, we were going to go with a player prop today. I'm going to take Juan Soto over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Soto's having maybe a down season compared to how good he has been over the past couple of years, MVP caliber, obviously. But he's really played well since July 1st, has a very good slash line, over 1,000 OPS. He's got an on base over 400, etc. He's also eclipsed this in 6 of his last 7 games. Tony Gonsolin on the mound for the Dodgers has really been shaky lately as well. So I think Juan Soto, who has been phenomenal against opposing righties all year with an OPS over 1,000, is going to find plenty of success getting a good number here, as well as he's averaging close to 2.7 hits, runs, RBIs since July 1st. So give me Juan Soto over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Love the Donald Brown call by D-Mitch812. And there was something in there about viewer picks. I think we were going to wait on viewer picks until football season started. I think that was the last word from Coach on that. So stay tuned. We definitely want to get you guys and girls involved when it comes to some of the picks. You know what I don't want to get involved in, folks, is Bucket's picks, because I just looked at Bucket's picks and he's got 2 picks. I don't know if they're good or not. I'm sure they're good because they're coming from Buckets. But what I know is that I'm going to have a really hard time with the recap screen. So no thank you to Buckets. I'm sure these are going to hit, but I'm going to have a problem in a few minutes, and I don't appreciate it. So Buckets, you have the floor.
If it helps, see, I'm going to have a problem now trying to pronounce these. But first of all, I want to try my hand at this real quick. Here's another number 31 for everyone. There are 31 days in the month of August. So there you go. Now, let's get into the soccer plays. I'm going to be starting with the Swedish Allsvenskan, where we have a fantastic matchup between the Varbergs boys and Mjällby AIF. Now, Varberg are probably coming off of what was the shocker of the season as they beat Halmstad 5-0. It was a weird game that I had to go back and actually watch the highlights for because I was so confused to see this team win, because this team does not win. I'm looking at a Varberg side that has kind of the opposite effect of some of these big teams we see in the likes of teams like Celtic, Maccabi Haifa, Liverpool, and more. This Varberg side does not win when they play at home. In fact, they have not won at home yet the entire season. Meanwhile, Mjällby are one of the opposite teams. They do well on the road, having won 3 of their last 4 road games here. So I'm going to be taking Mjällby on the draw no bet here, which is currently priced at minus 125. I think they'll win this outright if you want to take money line at plus 150, but I love having my little safety net there. Now, for the matchup that Sia is probably a bit scared to pronounce, we're going to the Polish Ekstraklasa in a matchup between Puszcza Niepol-Miecit versus FK Sta Milowek. I think I've kind of nailed that. This also starts at 1 p.m., so both of these are 1 p.m. Eastern start times. And we're looking at this team because Puszcza is a newly promoted side that is joining the Ekstraklasa for the first time in years, and they are playing like an absolute bat out of hell right now. This is a team that is going into every single game saying, we do not care if we lose, but we are not going to get clean sheeted. We will not get embarrassed, and we will score goals. They have played 2 games so far this season, and they have lost both of those, but those 2 games had 10 goals combined in them. It does not matter if this team is down 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. They keep attacking like they have the 100% chance of winning this matchup. And I don't care who their opponent is right now. The best way to bet this team is by taking both teams to score, which is currently priced at minus 125. Sia.
Wow. No, I'm not your biggest fan right now, Buckets. I'm not going to lie to you. You'll find out why when we do the recap screen. That second one, that is going to be really, really tough. Number 31's Cam Chancellor. Let's go with that before we get to Maestro's pick. And Maestro, finally, let's get to your pick. You have 2 picks here. I think I like both of them. I didn't look too heavy into either of these picks, but now that I look at them, I like them both. So why don't you drop it on us?
All right, well, let's start with maybe the hottest team in baseball, the Chicago Cubs. They've won 15 of 19. They have the best OPS in baseball over the last 30 days. The trade for Jeimer Candelario was the perfect addition to this lineup. Visiting the Mets, who lost 6 straight on the road, only scored 14 runs. They had 5 guys in the lineup yesterday who have played in AAA this season. They made 3 bad fielding plays. Brett Beatty has no hits in August. Not sure what's going to happen to him. Could be sent down. The Mets do have the starting pitching edge, which is why they're favored with Senga against Smiley. But Smiley has been very good in New York for his career, an ERA of only 2.16. And to me, this is just about 2 teams going in completely opposite directions. I mean, the Cubs throw out Acuna at the plate. They're doing everything right now. I'm going to keep riding them, especially at plus money. And then in a late game, let's take the Rangers to beat up on the Oakland A's. Lay the run and a half at minus 125. You get Dane Dunning on the mound, 11 strikeouts last time out. Ken Waldichuk pitching for the A's. He's not going to go deep. He goes about 4, 5 tops, absolutely. Then he turns it over to the worst bullpen in baseball. With Corey Seager back in the lineup, the Rangers are whole. They average 6.5 runs during their current 6-game winning streak. They just demolished the Marlins over the weekend, as everybody saw. So let's take the Rangers. Let's lay 1.5.
Like them both. And Proppy, I saw you shaking your head before the pick. I see the thumbs up after the pick. You're feeling pretty good about those?
Love the Rangers spot on it as well with the Maestro. I think it's a great spot to back them. I think they're as hot as any team in baseball. They also possess the second highest OPS versus opposing left-handed pitching as well.
And when you say you're on it as well, does that mean you've already put this pick out on the SportsLine app?
That is correct.
Larry, how about you?
Yes, as well. I believe Proppy beat me to it, so he gets the credit if it hits.
Well, you both get the credit if it hits because you already put it out on SportsLine. So again, if you're not a member of SportsLine, you get most of these picks an hour or more before the show. A lot of times you'll see the picks the night before. So definitely make sure you're tuned into the SportsLine app, not just for MLB stuff, but listen, we've got a lot of NFL stuff, including NFL shows starting next week that at least I'm going to be a part of when it comes to some player props and some division winners, conference winners, things like that. So make sure you got your notifications on for this channel, but make sure you are a member of SportsLine as well. All right, let's bring up the recap screen. Let's see how I do this here. Angels first 5 money line plus 106, backing Sandoval here. Not the Sandoval from Bravo. This is Patrick Sandoval. So you can go ahead and take this bet with a good conscience here. Larry Hartstein, the Maestro, who you're going to see all over HQ today. Cubs money line plus 105 and the Rangers run line minus 1.5 at minus 125. We got Proppy with Juan Soto over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at minus 130, and buckets with Yalby, AIF, DNB, Dave Matthews Band, of course. That's what that means. Minus 125. And then we've got Pushka Neopolmais and Stal Milek. Both teams to score BTTS. That's, of course, a South Korean boy band. I assume they are going to be at the stadium, and that's why they are there. Minus 125. Wow, that was a lot of damage. Did we forget any 31s? I'm not so sure. George Teague, let's go old school there. I'm looking at a list right now. Oh, how did we forget David Johnson? I think we already said Priest Holmes. 31 days away from football season, but we're doing so much damage with baseball season. Honestly, we've been pretty good over the last few weeks, and we expect to be pretty good as the season winds down. That's all the damage we can do today for you, at least at 10 o'clock. We'll see you on Early Edge in 5. Of course, we'll see you on CBS Sports HQ. Only one thing left to do. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For Proppy, for the Maestro, for Buckets, and for Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 5s and 6s. I am the Counselor of Cash, and we rest our case.